We are live on YouTube. Hi everyone. I launch also the live session on Facebook. We are live on YouTube here. And hope you are doing great. It's a pleasure for me. So way from Cameroon here. Today we want to talk about quickly the curse of knowledge. Have you ever heard about the thought of knowledge, the curse of knowledge? Today we want to talk about the curse of knowledge. Hope you are doing great, all of you. Hope everything is fine. Hope you have started your week in a good tone, in a great tone. Today we want to talk about the curse of knowledge. Let me put it where. Okay, let me start with a question. How do you feel? How do you feel after you have prepared your message, prepared your presentation, prepared your content, and at the end of the day, it fails to get across? How do you feel? You have prepared your message with care, with love. You have prepared your presentation. You have prepared your content, but at the end of the day, people doesn't relate, do not relate to that. It doesn't create engagement. How do you feel about that? Today I want to talk to you about one of the things that is responsible for the fact that our message, our presentation, or our content do not get across. I want to talk about the curse of knowledge. And I think it was last year, I was working on one of my research papers that I was writing with my academic mentor, and my spouse called me out. She called me, but I didn't respond because I was busy writing that paper, research paper. And she came over and she asked me, "What are you doing? I'm calling to you, I'm calling your name, and you are not responding." And I said to her that, "Forgive me, but I'm really busy right now writing this research paper I am doing with my academy mentor." And she came to see what I was doing. And when she looked at the paper I was writing on my laptop and she started reading it, she screamed, "What is this?" And I said to her, "What are you talking about?" She said that, "You are right. I don't know if the words you are using are even French word, because I was writing my research paper in French." She said, "A French word?" I was saying to her, "Yes." And I said to her, "What are you talking like this?" I do not understand. I do not understand anything about what you are writing. This concept, these ideas you are talking about, I'm like a dog in front of a TV." And I started laughing and I said to her, "It's normal, but me, I understand what I'm writing, and the people to whom I'm writing to will understand it. For me, it's clear because it is my field of research." And for her, it was like something that was even not a French. It was not in French, but it was in French. But those concepts, those ideas was shared in a technical way that it was impossible for her to get the message, to get the idea, to get the real meaning of the concepts and the constructs I was using in that research paper. And the fact is this: most of us, all of us, in fact, me the first, we fell into the trap of thinking that when we are communicating our marketing message, when we are creating content, when you prepare a presentation, we fall into the trap of the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge is what? The curse of knowledge is a cognitive bias. It's this tendency all of us have to think that people have the same level of understanding on the topic we are talking about as us. We fail to understand that they do not have the same level of understanding. In fact, we forgot how it feels to be at the beginning stage in that particular field. And that is why when we are communicating with them, we are dumping at them technical bubbles. We are dumping at them terms they are not used to, terms they do not understand. And for most of us, that is the number one reason why our message, our presentation, our content do not get across, because we are talking at a technical level that is completely far away or far above the level of comprehension and understanding of our audience. That is why it's very important for us to address that today, and especially people who are experts in their domain, especially people who are thought leaders, who have certain knowledge, certain expertise, certain technical expertise. Most of the time we fall in the trap of the curse of knowledge. That is a psychological concept. Is us, you know your topic, you know how to speak it in a technical way, but when you start addressing and talking to your audience, to your market, you fail and you forgot that those who will be consuming my content, those who will be listening to my audio, those who will be watching my video, do not have the same level of understanding and comprehension and proficiency as me. And you talk as a technical person to a technical person, like the research paper I was writing. For me, it was making sense. And I knew that the people I was writing to, for them, it makes sense. Why? Because we are all researchers in the same field. And when we talk in our field, we talk technically, we use technical words, we use technical concepts. When it comes to business, when it comes to share our message, to share our content, to make impact, to improve our visibility, to create engagement, to create connection with our target audience, we have to understand that it's very important not to forget that they are not at the same level of understanding. Doesn't understand you or me, that person is confused, and a person confused engage. A person confused will never buy. A person confused will never take action. How can we break that curse on our content? How can we break that curse in such a way that when we'll be sharing content starting from today, people will engage, people will relate, it will resonate with our target audience, and it will create engagement and make more impact. That is the purpose of this video. Now, the first thing I want to say to you is that the best way to break that curse on your content is to be aware that there is a curse called the curse of knowledge. Because if you do not understand that there is a curse of knowledge, you will continue to share your content the way you were sharing. Because do not forget something that I used to say in my coaching sessions and my live videos and my master classes, is the fact that business people and entrepreneurs are at the service of the market. The market is not at our service, and it means that we have to understand the market. Because the first job, when you go into a restaurant, when the waiter comes over, the first job of the waiter is to understand you. What do you want? What do you need? What do you want me to serve you? If we do not understand the market, our target audience, or our ideal client, we will have difficulties getting our message, our content, and our presentation across. Is important, and for us to be able to do that, we have to speak their language, because it's important to speak their language. Now, how can we do to break that curse? I have a framework that I follow that I want to share with you, and I know it will help you a lot. The first thing is that I ask myself three questions, or my framework is three questions I ask help me understand or to help me get conscious of the fact that I have to lower the level of the technicality of my content to the for the average consumer to understand it and to get it and to engage and to take action. And I want to share with you those three questions. The first question is that can my 12-year son understand this? That is the first question I ask myself. Can my 12-old son understand this content I'm writing, this book I'm writing, this presentation I'm preparing? Can my 12-year-old son understand this? And if my answer is no, it means that I have some work to do, because I want to prepare something that old girl or boy, and he has or she has to understand it. If I succeed in preparing my content, in preparing my presentation for a 12-year-old son or girl to understand it, it means that almost all of my audience will understand it. And that is very powerful to get. It's about being understandable. Is your content understandable by a 12-year-old boy or girl or child, if you want? That is the first question I ask myself. Can my 12-year-old son understand this? It is very powerful. At times, I even try to explain my content to him if he's near. I try to make sure that what I'm trying to get across is understandable by the average person in my target audience. It's very important. That's the first question. The second question I ask myself is that does it match the lingo of my target audience? It's not just about sharing a content that is understandable, but I have to use the lingo, the jargon of my target audience, because what are we looking here for? What are we here for? We are here to create engagement. We are here because we want to our message to resonate with them. We want them to we want to connect with them at a deeper level. And for that to happen, our content or our presentation doesn't have simply to be understandable, but it have to be suitable. And for that to happen, I have to ask myself, does this content, does this book, does this presentation match the jargon or the lingo of my target audience? That is very powerful. These are simple questions, but they will completely change the game for you as an entrepreneur who creates content, as an entrepreneur who makes presentations. Because let's say as it is, one of the most powerful skills you will ever learn as a person in general and as an entrepreneur in particular is communication, because nothing happens unless there is a communication that takes place to cause someone to take action. Nothing happens without an action, and for an action to be taken, a communication has to take place in order to produce or to influence people to take the action we need. You will not have a great company. You will never be a great leader. You will never improve the quality or your sales proficiency. You will never improve your marketing impact. You will never improve your brand if you do not communicate well. And that is why for us as business people, it's mandatory to master the art and the science of communication. We have to know how to get our message across, how to influence others in an ethic way, because we know that the purpose of every business is to make impact. And our responsibility is to make that business profitable enough to continue to make that impact. And that is very powerful to understand. Though, so these are simple questions, but those questions will change the game. First of all, does my 12-year-old son understand this? Is it understandable? Second question, does it match the lingo or the jargon of my target audience? Is it suitable? And the last question is this: does the consumer relate to this? Is it relatable? That is very powerful. It has to be understandable. It means that even a 12-year-old child has to be able to understand it. Second, it has to be suitable. You have to use the jargon, the lingo of your target audience. And third, it has to be relatable. You have to touch them at an emotional level. And here you do it by adding stories into your content, because stories are something that creates connection. People get people get connected with other people easily when they share stories. And that is very important. Don't just get used to jump in your content and start saying that this is what you have to do, or your presentation, this is what you have to do. Inject, add, incorporate stories in the mix of all of that, because with stories your content will become relatable, because through your story people of your audience will see themselves. They will see themselves in your story. And understand that it is very important to take the action you want them to take. Why? Because they can relate to the story you incorporated in your presentation and in your content. These are the three questions I ask myself because I want to get my message across. First of all, can my 12-year-old son understand this? Second, does it match the lingo, the jargon of my target audience? And third, does the consumer of this content relate to this? It has to be understandable and relatable. These are the three questions of my framework that I use to break the curse of knowledge on my content. It's not easy, but you have to train yourself to follow this process, because all of us, we tend to fall into that trap. We tend to fall into that curse. But if we want to get our message across, it's important, it's mandatory for us to break work. I gave you those three questions, those three steps will help you just do that. I hope you've got a lot of value from this. It was Zoe from Cameroon. I want you to leave us some messages, some questions about what you want us to share in our next video. And don't forget, like this video, click the notification bell, share this video with people you know may need this kind of content. We'll need you to get our message everywhere. We need you. And it was a pleasure for me to be with you. And as I usually say, it was Zoe from Cameroon, and I wish you success. I wish you success, my friend. Success.